What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another video from the 10-7 MMA channel. And today's video is all about Ben Askren and what's happening in real time and what he's providing with us. And obviously, this is just such a massive credit to him that he's actually providing updates and giving messages of inspiration in real time while he's in the midst of this crazy battle for his life, for his family, etc. I think a lot of times when people undergo hardships, we'll hear the story after the fact, but while they're actually going through those intense emotions and those intense difficulties, they'll step away from the spotlight. They want to be with their family. They're probably grieving in real time, so it's very difficult and emotionally strenuous, and so they don't want the public seeing that. After the fact, we hear the stories often and then can be inspired. That's not what's happening here with Ben Askren. He actually is courageous and strong enough, and I don't know many people would ever be this strong, but he's strong enough and courageous enough to be talking about his struggles on a day-to-day basis, and all the while maintaining a super positive mindset and mental state. Now, before we get into these clips, I'm going to show these 3 different clips that I picked out just to give you an idea of what's going on and give my feedback. I just want to talk briefly about why we watch mixed martial arts. A lot of people will sometimes say, if you're a fan of mixed martial arts, we love violence and we want to see violence. I've said over and over that this is patently false. And even if you believe this, it's not, I don't think it's true for like the vast majority of people. Maybe there are some exceptions. You don't want to see an unfair fight. I think we all cringe when we see somebody getting hurt or harmed when they're defenseless. That's not why, at least I don't think any normal person watches MMA. We want to see competition. We want to see people equally matched. That's why we like weight classes. I don't want to see a 300-pound guy go against a 100-pound guy. I want to see equally matched people, and then having to utilize strategy, coaches, training, etc., all the tools available to them to see who can come out better on top, see who can battle through mental adversity. So I think that's a part of it. But even if we dig beneath that, maybe again, to a more subconscious level, I think the reason that we're all drawn to the sport and we love the sport so much is because we want to see people push to their limits, and we want to see people overcome insane amounts of adversity to a greater degree that we have to deal with, to see how they do that and to hopefully inspire us. I think that's at the heart, for me, what draws me to mixed martial arts. And I listen to the fighters in training camp, in the fight, before the fight, after the fight, talk about the adversity they deal with and how they get around these mental hurdles. And that always gives me so much inspiration and positivity that I can then apply in my life. I really do think that's central to MMA, more so than any other sport or any other extracurricular endeavor. So I just wanted to start with that and lead it into this entire video, because this basically is at the heart of MMA, what I'm talking about today, which is Ben Askren dealing with a much more severe challenge than going into a fight and facing your fears and facing death and whatnot. He literally was out of his body, unconscious for over a month, where he nearly died. He had to get a lung transplant, which is a very serious operation. His family lost him. You can see in this picture, he's massively emaciated. I think he's like 135 pounds or 155, something crazy. Like he lost a tremendous amount of weight in a very short period of time. And at moments he was hanging on by a thread, almost didn't get the lung transplant, got the lung transplant, and now he's dealing with the recovery process. So it's been a crazy ordeal. But what's been the most incredible thing, and again, getting back to the heart of MMA, he's sharing his struggles and his trials and tribulations, all with the positive mindset. So if this doesn't give you inspiration, I don't know what will. And I just want to shine a spotlight on it. And I wanted to redirect a lot of fans who may not be paying attention to what he's talking about in this dialogue and this journey. But I really do think if you're a fan of mixed martial arts, you should be paying attention to this journey in real time. So we're going to start off right here off the bat. This is one of the earlier videos that Ben Askren made before he left the hospital. And you can just listen to what he's trying to do in real time, which again is at the heart of all of this, is inspire other people through his own journey. Check this out.
And I just wanted to give one mental Monday's message. And that was, I'm going to plead guilty. I felt guilty for myself one time. Right? And that doesn't do anyone any good. And I thought, man, I never smoked one cigarette, never smoked any weed, never did anything. Why did my lungs get stolen from me? Right? Why is this happening to someone who smokes habitually? Then I realized it happened. It's over. It's done with. I could be bitter and angry. I could whine, cry. It's not going to help anybody. I am where I am now, and I'm going to move forward the best that I can. So, I hope you guys are enjoying the updates. I will not feel sorry for myself. I'm going to get out of here pretty soon. And I hope you guys have a great day. Peace.
It's one thing to preach this. It's another thing to be potentially at one of the lowest points in your life and to be able to share this message and do so with a positive attitude, a positive mindset, a positive demeanor. I don't know. Like I said, to me, I'm following along very closely because I think there are very, very, very few people on the planet that could be in the midst of such adversity, yet still be able to communicate effectively and have the wherewithal and the mental strength and fortitude to show other people what they can do as well and to be a source of inspiration. I think it's really, really phenomenal. We're going to go to the next clip. This is after Ben Askren was released from the hospital. He was feeling optimistic. He was happy. And unfortunately, he had to go back to the hospital. So it was a step in the wrong direction. After already he faced all this adversity, he's having to deal with recovery. He can't walk at this point. He's emaciated, as I mentioned. And now amidst all this, he had to go back to the hospital and listen to once again the way he talks about dealing with this adversity with such positivity.
Well, as you guys can probably tell, I'm not home anymore. Fortunately, I had my first checkup this morning. They didn't like the way the last chest tube worked. Thought it was infected. Put me on some antibiotics, and then held a few X-rays, and hopefully get this solved fast. But right, Stockdale paradox. It wasn't always going to be smooth. It wasn't always going to be easy. It wasn't going to always be all the way up. So hopefully this is a small hiccup. Then I'm back home, getting stronger again. So thought you guys appreciate the update. Well,
again, message of positivity. On top of that, I think people say many times it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. I think sometimes that gets repeated and we don't really think about what that means. When I think about to myself what that means, I think throughout the adversity, the ups and downs, I don't think this life is necessarily just about having a smooth ride. I think it is about testing ourselves and facing adversity and having to deal with it and trying to come out the other end the best way we can. Just do the best with what we have. Because I think what that's doing is that's providing education to our inner self, to our spiritual self, to our soul, whatever you want to call it, whatever faith you have. I think a lot of us believe that there's something energetic, spiritual, whatever inside of us. And all the while, regardless of the physical adversity we might be facing, that is still leveling up in different ways. And I think that's what he's speaking to here to some extent is that, look, it's not always going to be a smooth ride, no matter how much we want it to be a smooth ride, but he's taken it in stride and trying to look at this through a positive lens. I'm just so blown away by how he can do that. And even just get on camera when you're in the midst of a major setback like that I'm sure was highly disappointing. All right, now we're going to move on to the final clip. And this is the most recent one. This came out just 2 days ago. Ben Askren now, after being in the hospital, is now back at home. And he gives another really, really inspirational little tidbit in terms of how he's dealing with this and how he's doing with everything that's happening in real time.
What's been a challenge or a time of struggle for you, or, other than the physical, right? How has this been difficult?
I don't know. It's kind of my whole life is I just take things in stride. I lose a big fight. Okay. Happened. What am I going to do about it? Right. And I think they do say like stress and anxiety. They come from things you can't control. And so I can't act like, no, give me back about lungs. Right. What am I going to do? So I have these lungs and, I was blessed to get them really quickly and that they're pretty good. So I don't think I've been struggling with that mentally at all because I just think about the other side of it. Like I was dead. That's the other side. So, when you have one option is you're dead and the other option is, well, this is wild because you have new lungs and you're going to have to follow kind of a new set of protocols for life. That's probably an easy choice.
How does last few days in the hospital?
That's the clip. And that's it right there. That sums it up. I mean, you're dealing with adversity. He's taken things in stride. This is just such a model, I think, for all of us. as opposed to looking back on things that are out of our control and things that have already happened. His lungs have already been taken from him. He said that in the previous video. It's already happened. It's done. It's past. There's no point in dwelling on it. Sometimes, obviously, most of the time, that's probably easier said than done. But what greater adversity can we really imagine beyond what he's dealing with in real time? There's very few things I think that we can imagine that are more difficult than dealing with what he's dealing with right now. And look at the way he's taking it on. Look at the way he's approaching it. Strong guy, but it's not only his strength, it's his logic, it's his intellect, I think, that's also rising above and guiding him. And hopefully all of us can extract this positive message and this amazing approach to life with all of our adversities and struggles, which I'm sure pale in comparison to what Ben Askren is dealing with. So anyways, I just wanted to make this video to shine an absolute spotlight on Ben Askren. He was a fighter that I was a huge fan of before all these things happened and before I started hearing these amazing messages of inspiration. I've always been a fan of him. I was a huge fan of him after his fight career when he did a show with DC, because I think because of his intelligence and his amazing way to break down fights. Plus, he's just very honest. He's able to give his opinion without thinking too much about it. That always makes him fun to listen to. I've just been such a fan of Ben Askren all the way through. And I think a lot of people have now come around and are resonating with his message. But if you haven't checked him out and if you haven't listened to his inspirational journey in real time, I highly encourage you do so. And that's it. Like I said, this is what MMA is all about, inspiration. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thank you guys so much for joining, and we'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.